Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. The Mortarpod is a weekly video podcast where I present to you a custom magic set based on movies, TV shows, books, from your suggestions or my personal preferences. So this week we're going back to one of the first times that you had live action people interacting with cartoons. And no, it's not Cool World with Brad Pitt. More of thinking of a Disney movie, and we've got Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So I don't know if you've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it stars Bob Hoskins and has some voice acting work from Kathleen Turner. And it also has Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. Shout out to previous custom magic set I've done. So Let's talk about the movie. The movie stars Roger Rabbit, who is not Bugs Bunny, but is, oddly enough, also an animated rabbit character. I don't think that he was a real character before this movie. So it is kind of strange that they just sort of made this brand new cartoon character you've never heard of. But yeah, so it stars Roger Rabbit. He's, as the title of the movie suggests, is framed for murder. And Eddie Valiant, who is played by Bob Hoskins, is a live actor who has to investigate all of the goings-on and trying to figure out who actually made the murder, because he believes that Roger did not. Bob Hoskins' backstory is kind of cool as well. His brother was killed by a cartoon. They call them toons in the movie. And so a lot of intrigue, mystery going on. Overall, it's an enjoyable film. I haven't seen it in a few years now, but yeah, it's a cool movie. I definitely recommend watching it. You know, for how old it is, late 80s, they did a really remarkable job, I thought, of combining live action and cartoons together. So this set contains both a new mechanic and a new creature type, which I don't think I've done a new creature type just yet, but I figured for this one, why not? So let's start it off with Roger Rabbit, one of the main protagonists alongside Eddie Valiant of the film. So Roger Rabbit is two colorless, a red and a white, for a 1/4 mythic rabbit toon creature. And somebody on Imager commented that I probably could have just put toon. I didn't need to put rabbit. Because most creature types are race and then class, which is true, but it's certainly not unheard of for them to do multiple races. There is a merfolk human legendary creature, so I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily wrong that you can have multiple races, but fair point, I guess, if that's a point of contention with it. So Roger Rabbit does have the sets mechanic, which is called Cartoonish Conjuration. Unfortunately, I think this is an easy to misinterpret ability, which is probably my fault. I just could not come up with a way to word it that would be concise and clear enough, unfortunately. I was hoping it would be interpreted readily, but there were immediately some issues on Imager and people could not interpret it and they thought it was overpowered, which I don't think it is. If it was conveyed the way I wanted it to be. So Cartoonish Conjuration is an ability where they get X, they pay X, and it's put an equipment card with converted mana cost plus equip cost X or less from your hand onto the battlefield attached to this creature. So immediately it's misinterpreted that if the X is the converted mana cost or the equip cost, both of which are less, you can flash this out on a creature. That is not correct. It says put an equipment card with converted mana cost plus equip cost X, which means you take the converted mana cost of the equipment, add it to the equip cost, and that's your X number. So unfortunately, I don't think this was interpreted correctly, but now that you've heard it out of my mouth, you know how it's played. So say you have any of the mythic swords, you would have to pay 5 mana to flash it out and attach it to this creature. It's still a good ability. And if you don't understand what I'm referencing, it's that cartoon characters always seem to have the tools on their person. They always seem to just pull out whatever they need. So I wanted to sort of have that be flavorfully what's going on with that mechanic. So yes, you pay 5 mana and a sword comes out of nowhere and is attached to it. Still a good ability, but it basically just gives equipment cards in your hand flash attach capabilities, but only to specific creatures that have cartoonish conjuration. Roger Rabbit also has creatures your opponents control must attack you each turn if able. So throughout the movie, he's being chased by almost everybody, which is why he has that static ability on him. 4 mana 1/4, typically not a very good mythic rare, but making all your opponents attack you each turn is actually pretty powerful, and having the cartoonish conjuration on top of that, I thought likely qualified him to be mythic rare. Next, we have Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins. He is 2, a blue and a red for a 2/3 legendary human mythic, and he has an activated ability, blue and red tap. Look at the top 2 cards of target player's library. You may put any number of Toon creature cards revealed this way into their owner's hand or on the bottom of that player's library. Put the rest back in any order. So even if your opponent's not playing against Toons and you're not playing with Toons, he still has a viable activated ability. So I kind of like the versatility of this ability. It lets you sort of rearrange what's up on top of their library, almost like a pseudo Fate Seal. Except you don't get to get rid of it permanently, but you can control what they draw on their turn. Or you can get rid of Toon creature cards that are on top of their library that you don't want to face, or you can use it on yourself to get Toon creature cards into your hand, or on the bottom of your library in the case that you don't need them. So I actually like the versatility of that ability, and it still sort of has that detective vibe to it. He's investigating, so he can, arrest Toon creatures and put them on the bottom of their player's library, or force them to help him in the case of putting them into your own hand. Definitely a mythic ability since it can be card advantage every turn, potentially. Next we have Jessica Rabbit, who I actually worded incorrectly on this one, but it has since been updated. But she has 1 colorless, 2 blue, and a red for a 2/2 mythic human Toon creature. And she has an activated ability of 1 colorless, a blue, and a red. Tap. Gain control of all creatures target opponent controls with power 2 or less until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They gain haste until end of turn. Activate this ability only as a sorcery. So in this version, I forgot to put until end of turn on the gain control. It is not a permanent gain control, but Jessica Rabbit, who is voiced by Kathleen Turner, is Roger Rabbit's wife in the movie. And they gave her sort of a knockout figure in cartoon form. So everybody kind of falls in love with her, which is the temporary gain control idea of her mechanic. And messed up the wording, yes, on this video version, but fixed if you go to seemsgoodmagic.com and click on the custom magic set version of it. Next we have Judge Doom, played by Christopher Lloyd. Very interesting character. I'm going to give you a spoiler here, but you think he's a human throughout the entire movie, but it's actually revealed at the end that he is a cartoon hidden in behind a human sort of latex mask. So Judge Doom is 3 colorless, 2 black for a rare human Toon creature. He also has cartoonish conjuration, and he has an ability, 2 and a black, pay 1 life, and tap. Search your library for a card named The Dip, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So let's just go to The Dip so that will make more sense. The Dip is the next card. It's actually a material in the movie that is capable of killing cartoons. So it seems that cartoons are particularly difficult to kill, but Judge Doom, being a toon, figures out how to do it. And the dip is 1 black sorcery, that's an uncommon. Destroy target toon creature, its controller discards a card. And then the flavor text on it is, remember how we always thought there wasn't a way to kill a toon? Well, Doom found the way. Turpentine, acetone, benzene. He calls it the dip. So the dip seems to be just some pretty powerful, noxious chemicals mixed together that are capable of erasing cartoons, interestingly enough. I always thought that was cool, that there was something in the movie that could kill cartoons. Next we have Portable Hole. Portable Hole is 1 colorless. It's an equipment card. It's an uncommon. And you see portable holes in all sorts of old cartoons. Portable holes are just almost like holes through the space-time fabric of reality. It lets you sort of reach through anything. And Eddie, of course, uses it to his advantage in the late stages of the movie. But Portable Hole is equip cost of 2, and equipped creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact that player controls. So in theory, you have it equipped and you encounter one of their equipment or artifact cards and just toss it in the Portable Hole and it disappears forever. Next we have Benny the Cab, which is a cool taxi cab cartoon that helps Roger and Eddie Valiant throughout the movie. So he's a legendary artifact toon creature who's a rare. He's 5 mana, 4/4 trampler with cartoonish conjuration. So trample alongside the cartoonish conjuration is definitely a good ability mashup. And he of course has trample because he's a car. He can run you over. Next we have Singing Sword. So this actually just has a brief appearance in the movie, but I always thought it was kind of funny. At the end of the movie, Eddie is battling against the Weasels, who are Judge Doom's henchmen, and battling against Judge Doom himself. So he is searching through these boxes to look for a weapon, and he pulls out a sword, a very bendy-looking rapier with a face on the end of it that's singing. So the Singing Sword is 2 colorless. It's an equipment. Equipped creature gets -2/-0. It equips for 1, and it also has 3, and you can attach it to a creature an opponent controls. So there's not a lot of negative effect to your opponent's creature's equipment, so I sort of wanted to branch out and try that out. And Singing Sword is kind of a funny one because it was a pretty worthless weapon for Eddie. He didn't even get to use it. So it actually makes your power weaker since it draws attention to you and you can't attack anybody with it. So definitely a funny part of the movie. Next we have Toon Revolver. So this is another kind of cool scene in the movie. Eddie is trying to recover both Jessica and Roger Rabbit. So he pulls out his old cartoon gun. That's a Toon Revolver, and it's 4 colorless mana. It's an equipment card. It's a rare. The Toon Revolver enters the battlefield with 6 bullet counters on it. It equips for 2, and then it gives the equipped creature 4 tap, remove a bullet counter from Toon Revolver. Flip a coin. If you win the flip, Toon Revolver deals 4 damage to target creature or player. Otherwise, it deals 2 damage to that creature or player instead. So definitely a good ability either way. You can potentially kill your opponent single-handedly over a series of 5 turns with it if you're a lucky flipper. But what was cool in the movie was the bullets inside of the Toon gun can talk too, and they have their own personalities. So that's sort of the random aspect of this card, is some of the bullets were more useful than others. Next we have Fit of Laughter. So I wanted to include the Weasels in some form into this set. So in this case, when the Weasels laugh too hard, the judge always warns them that they're going to laugh themselves to death. But they can't help themselves. They're weasels. So they're little laughing weasels. So Fit of Laughter is 2 colorless and a black for a common aura spell, enchant creature. And whenever enchanted creature attacks or blocks, enchanted creature's controller sacrifices it. So kind of like the black form of pacifism in a way. since as soon as they attack or block, they're going to sacrifice it, whereas pacifism just allows them to, essentially remove it from combat. Fit of Laughter still lets them get a chump block before they have to sacrifice it, which does make it slightly worse, but still a pretty powerful spell since it essentially deals with any creature, including indestructible. I guess not hexproof, but definitely indestructible, which is certainly powerful. And regenerate, too, for that matter. Next, we have Extending Buzzsaw. So once at the end of the movie that it's revealed that that Judge Doom is in fact a toon, and he's fighting Eddie, he turns his hands into weapons, which is once again where I came up with the cartoonish conjuration mechanic. But Extending Buzzsaw is a weapon that he uses that is just as it sounds, a buzzsaw that extends out and goes out further and further and gets bigger and bigger. So the Extending Buzzsaw is 3 colorless. It's an uncommon equipment card. And equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has reach, and it equips for 2. So reach, clearly as it extends, it is able to stop flying creatures. Basically, I just felt like I had to have some, enough equipment cards in the set to justify the cartoonish conjuration mechanic. Finally, we have Toontown, which is a rare legendary land. Taps for a colorless, and it also has 4 and tap, put a 1/1 colorless toon creature onto the battlefield. So once Judge Doom is defeated by his own dip, they all go to Toontown together. And Eddie, of course, feels vindicated since Judge Doom reveals himself to be the killer of his brother, and Eddie gets his revenge, and Roger and Jessica Rabbit are united together happily. So very happy ending to the movie, and certainly worth a watch if you've never seen it. I recommend it. I apologize if I spoiled things for you, but I still think you're going to enjoy it. Very good movie. So check out Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I hope you enjoyed this week's Mortarpod. Also hope you're enjoying the Fate Reforged drafts. I've been putting up quite a few. So we'll see you next week. Take it easy.